What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Second Avenue Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathon and Elijah.
Your other host, Elijah Venencia. Welcome back, Jonathan. How's your week been so far?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Been, working out, training for this 5K. It's been a couple years since I ran the Hoopson 5K for the last time on Labor Day weekend. It's been like maybe 3 or 4 years. I think I was like a junior in college, maybe a sophomore last time I did it. So it's been a minute. Last time I did it, I actually got beat by a dog, and that was tough. This guy was running with his dog the whole time, and they beat me. I was putting up a good time too, like good in comparison. Like there's people that do crazy, but I did like a 23 or something, that's pretty good for me being like out of, my prime athletic shape, like out of high school, out of like soccer running condition. 23, I was pretty proud of. Like I was actually just looking at my Nike running app this week, just like motivate myself, because damn, I'm I'm far from my running prime right now. Like I am not in shape. Like I need to get in shape fast. I'm like, I think 7 weeks. But I saw my fastest 5K time since I was using that app was like 22 minutes. And I was like, I would kill it to be at 22 minutes right now. And then like hoping to shave some time off that. But no. But anyway, yeah, I'm just training for the 5K, getting ready. 5K is nothing that crazy though. So, I mean, I'll be good no matter what. I could do it tomorrow. I'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean that's my thoughts as well. I haven't committed to it yet. I'm considering, of course, but Second Avenue boys maybe running in it together.
Maybe I'll say it on the podcast. One thing I was thinking would be pretty funny is if we had a float in the Hoopson Labor Day parade.
Yeah, we have kids handing out candy and shit like that.
Oh, well, I don't think we necessarily have to have a float, but like, if we were like in a whip with a speaker playing some music, like that'd be kind of hard.
That would be tough.
Throw out like 3 t-shirts.
That'd be tough. I mean,
let's get in the work. Let us know if you're listening. You think that sounds fire? Hey, if you want to join us in the parade and walk alongside us too, let us know. We might not even do it. If you think it sounds fun, let us know.
Definitely. I mean, good way to get our name out there even more. Of course, nothing hurts. So
facts. But how about you? How's your week been?
Not too bad, working, preparing for Miami. I fly out. Today is Saturday. I fly out Wednesday or Thursday at like 3 a.m. So technically it'll be like Wednesday for me.
Fire. So that's pretty wild, because we were just talking about before we got like recording on the episode how I'm definitely like a night owl and you need your sleep. So 3 a.m. for me is like, I'm definitely still going to be awake most of the time. And for you, that sounds like it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and sleep right after work and then just get up right away. Packing the jerseys and everything. It's going to be hot in Miami, so I've decided to go with just jerseys.
What's in the rotation?
Rotation is a green Sean Kemp, like the OG Sonics one, not the older one they wore. Got the purple Chris Webber, 2000s or from the 2000s with the Kings. Third one, I'm still a little deciding on that one. I have a Reggie Miller pinstripe Pacers or a John Stockton from like the OG, like white and purple
with the Mountains.
Yeah, Jazz jerseys. So we'll see what happens between those two. I want to wear my BAM jersey, but there's a lot of trade rumors swirling around, stuff like that. And it's black. It's gonna be super hot there. So
I was gonna say that, like in Miami, no heat jerseys. Like that's an interesting choice. I feel like a baseball jersey would be fire too, like a classic like Marlins jersey, like a Hanley Ramirez or something like that. I used to love him back in the day. I feel like that'd be fire.
Definitely, that would be tough as well, but I'm more of a basketball guy. Unfortunately, I got to rep my 100%. Boys in Miami, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling the black jersey there, and all my Heat jerseys are black. So
yeah, I feel you. I definitely agree that I'm more of a basketball guy, but like something about a baseball jersey just hits. Like I only ever have had one baseball jersey, and it was Addison Russell from the Cubs. And then he caught a case, so that one is a no-go. So I think maybe I need a new one sometime. Like I was just looking the other day, and I saw some ones I liked. Like I don't even know that many current players, so I feel like I'd have to get an older one. My boy was Ryan Howard, so if I got one, I think I have to get a Ryan Howard throwback at this point jersey.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was like me back in the day. I wear baseball jerseys, but not now. Like when the Cubs were fucking god awful. Alfonso Soriano, Giovanni Soto, guys like that. I had a Zambrano jersey, so I was really going for them when they were really bad. I don't even watch baseball. I guess they're really bad again, though. So.
Yeah, but they had their time, so it happens.
Take a ring.
Oh yeah, if you get a ring out of it, that's all that matters. But let's get into today's topic. If you can't tell from the title already, today we're going to be picking 10 albums each that we would pick if we could only listen to 10 albums the rest of our life. We're stranded on that deserted island and you only could have 10 albums with you. What are they going to be? This was maybe the hardest prep for any episode because there's so many different directions you could go with your picks. And I think my picks would change 2 weeks from now, 10 minutes from now. It like anytime my answers might be different. There are some that I think would be here no matter what, but then just the way I approach it would be different. This is impossible, but we came up with 10 each. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely an ever-evolving question. You're never gonna have like a finalized answer for the rest of your life, I don't think. I mean, if you did, it'd take days of thought. And I mean, you also have new music releasing as well. So I mean, something like that could crack it. So
100%.
I mean, for mine, I just try to keep it diverse. You know, obviously you have different types of rap, or, you know, obviously different genres in rap. I did go, I think, 3 albums that weren't rap, and then the rest are kind of all constructed in there, just different types of rap. You know, they don't give off the same vibe. So
that's just about how I did it too, because I was trying to kind of balance that like diversity and just having a whole bunch of different genres and different, you know, decades and representation versus how much I really enjoy the albums and listen to them today. Like, I'd love to pick like a Michael Jackson album, you know what I mean? But like, I'm not really listening to that today, even like great artist, great albums, but it's not in my rotation today. So like just saying I'm not gonna be able to listen to it ever kind of makes me consider like, oh, should I have it? But then I don't even listen to it when I have access to it. So like, why would I pick it? Although it is great. So, you know, I stuck to rap for the most part, but then I do also have, you know, some R&B and then 3 that I think are pretty different too. So
yeah, and I mean, I feel like the biggest thing was, this isn't like our 10 greatest albums ever. It's just the 10 albums you want to listen to the most. So, I mean, you start factoring in length of the albums, you know, stuff like that as well. So,
oh yeah, definitely a lot of factors here. And you know, it is our 25th episode, so you know, quarter of the way there to 100. So we had to go big for this episode. But do you want to kick us off with your first pick?
Yeah. So, I mean, to kick it off, there's like 2 albums that are for sure making this list, when this list, you know, is like finalized in my lifetime, whenever that may be. I'm going to kick it off though. First off, with Take Care by Drake. I mean, classic project, different vibes. You know, you can have the lows of Marvin's Room, while also, you know, getting the highs like HYFR, the motto, you know, the cruising songs like Look What You've Done, stuff like that. I mean, I'd consider that more of a sad song, but I mean, just such a diverse album, along with it being just one of the greatest albums of our generation.
That's a great pick. That's just a album that I knew you were going to pick. Like, it made a lot of sense that you were going to pick it. I actually did not pick this album though. It made my honorable mentions. I have a list of like 16 honorable mentions that were so close that I just did not get into. But I mean, I feel like Drake is just a great choice. Like, especially if he's somebody you listen to often now, if you had to pick, he'd have to make the list.
Definitely. And I feel like this album like just defines like my time as like, I've grown up with that album pretty much. You know, like there's never been a point in my life where I wasn't banging at least a few tracks off it. So
I feel that 100%. It's like kind of the same for me. Like, I grew up on this album, but it did not make my list. I don't have a single Drake album. If I would have had one, though, it would have been Take Care. So spoiler alert, I don't have Drake on this. And that's maybe the one that I'm like, should I have had Drake? But then I kind of was switch it up with genres. So whatever. But that's the same thing as, you know, if this was a year ago or a year from now, maybe I would have Drake. But today, I do not have Drake on my list.
Definitely. I'm interested to, I was very interested throughout the week to like see what you had and everything. So let's get into your picks as well here.
You know, I don't have Drake. I don't have Take Care, but I do have somebody here that influenced Take Care heavily. And that's The Weeknd. And I went with Trilogy. I was wondering if that's a little bit of a gray area because, you know, it is kind of just the 3 mixtapes packaged together, but it is one album trilogy. It is House of Balloons, Echoes of Silence, and Thursday. So had to go with it. I mean, that's just such a long project. It's like 30 songs, hours long. I mean, it's great. I listen to it often. That is one project that never leaves the rotation. I'm listening to one song at least a day from that album. So it's been there for me for over a decade now. It's just full of classics.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, loaded with classics there, of course. Can never go wrong with a weekend pick, honestly.
Facts. And I mean, there's so much diversity with it between the sounds. Like you got The Morning, and then you got House of Balloons, Glass Table Girls, you got Echoes of Silence, DD, Valerie. So many good songs, so many different vibes. But really that dark R&B, you know, we talk a lot about rap, but that just hits a special spot for your boy.
Definitely. Moving on though to my second pick here. I'm trying to like figure out because the way I listed it, it's kind of like the for sure picks up top and then like the ones that kind of fell in line after that. So I'm just gonna kind of mix and match throughout here, honestly.
Okay.
For my second project, I went with Swimming by Mac Miller. You know, just a very good, beautiful project. This is like more of a chill vibe, of course, not too much rapping on there. So I kind of factored that in. And this is more of like one of my lesser rap albums, whereas, you know, other ones give me different feelings. But I feel like this is definitely one that had to make it. It's probably the most complete out of Mac. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Mac Miller album, but it is most complete to me.
See, I like that you said that. It's not necessarily your favorite, but it's the most complete. And that I think makes this list very different from your favorite albums of all time list. You're really getting into like, you know, length, like you said earlier, and different styles of songs within the project. And that kind of makes it a good candidate to be on this list versus it being your actual favorite. But I do love that pick. That's a great album, of course. I figured you're gonna go with some Mac. I figured you go with some Drake. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like you could have guessed out my list. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be too difficult, but we'll see. You know,
I definitely think you have a couple wild cards in here, but yeah, those two are definitely. I was thinking you were to go with them, so that makes sense.
Definitely.
I'll get in my next one here though. It's Because the Internet by Childish Gambino. I mean, this is just one of my favorite albums of all time. Just such a good story. And, you know, in my perfect world, if I get this album for the rest of my life, I also get the screenplay with it. So, you know, hypothetically, if I'm on that desert island, I'm getting the screenplay to go with it. So that's going to occupy my time a little bit more. But it's just such a great album, such great storytelling, such great production. Love the bars from Gambino with the different references. You know, it's just a great project.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like there's not going to be much argument on the picks we're going to have, of course, you know, with it being preference. And then, I mean, look who's picking the albums, of course.
Big facts. I do think I'm going to have two. They're going to raise some eyebrows. They're going to be like, but we'll get to those later.
Definitely. Moving on to my third pick here. You know, I obviously said I didn't go with just rap. So I have an alternative album here. I've talked about it before. Audio Slave by Audio Slave, self-titled album. You know, just a completely different vibe. You know, I feel like when you're alone on this, or not alone necessarily, but when you have this limited amount of music, you're going to want a different vibe at some point. And this album definitely does that for me, along with the other two that I'll mention later.
See, this is an album I'm not too familiar with, but I know you're a big fan of, so it makes a lot of sense. So no comments from me on that one. That's a great pick. But I'll kind of stick with the same theme here of, you know, not rap, and it provides something different among the 10 albums that you're stuck with. And that's Bubba by Kaytranada. You know, a sort of production focused album, but it also has some rap songs, some different poppy songs. It's just something you could have on. Like, this is an album that I could listen to once a week and I would enjoy it as much every single time, just because it's such a great album, so many different vibes. This provides something really different than the other albums I picked so far. You know, it's kind of rap focused with Because of the Internet, and then kind of the R&B, you know, darker, sadder vibe with Trilogy. But then this is just more upbeat house beats. You know, it's just a great album. One of the best producers, one of my favorite producers, Kaytranada. Had to have him.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like I didn't get too much like production wise. You know, I mean, you have a more production focused one there. I did not have a pick like that. So interesting as well to see the differences between our list here.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on though to my number 4 pick, I had Under Pressure by Logic. You know, just very, very complete album. I mean, in my opinion, no misses on there. All bangers, of course. And I mean, this is more of like a storytelling rap, which is you could consider it different. I mean, it's rap, of course. But I mean, just the stories that you get throughout this project are just, I mean, it passed the time.
That's very interesting. Logic was somebody that crossed my mind. None of his projects even made like my honorable mentions, like the ones that were like in real consideration. But I was thinking about him. I was like, I mean, I used to love Logic albums. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely some validity to that pick. Great songs on that.
Yeah, I mean, I even wanted to put Bobby Tarantino on there, but that was where you get the whole length versus. I feel like I want the song, a good amount of songs if it's going to make this list. So
100%. That makes a lot of sense. So, you talk about storytelling with Under Pressure. And that leads me to my next pick. That's a Aquemini by Outkast. This is the ultimate rap album. The Art of Storytelling is the ultimate rap song. I don't think anything else needs to be said. This is, one of the best rap albums of all time, in my opinion. Had to have it. Andre 3000, best rapper of all time. Could not have left him off this list. Got to show love to Big Boy, though. Of course, I mean, he's one of the greats as well. So
yeah,
had to have him on here.
Big Boy's really just him, though, for real.
Big facts.
Moving on, though. Pick number, what are we on here? It's 5 now. So for this one, this is like, I would almost say this is probably my favorite album ever. I'll get into my explanation after the fact, but number 5 pick here, I went with "Come Over When You're Sober" Part 2 by Lil Peep. Ooh. So I mean, just beautiful project. Does so much for. I mean, in the little amount of songs there are, or not little amount, I guess it's probably 13, 14 song album, but I mean, just all bangers to me, no skips in that. I feel like that's gonna be a common trend here, no skips in a lot of these albums because you're limited to fucking what we'd say 300 songs. You're gonna want no skips. So, but it just, I don't know. I feel like for this one, so I feel like I have like a solid 3 that are like probably my top 3 favorite albums ever. Take Care, an album I'm gonna mention later, and I'm sure you already know, and then this. But I feel like the one that sets this apart from those two to this one is I was listening to this one on a release night, whereas the other ones I was 10 years old. So
okay, yeah, I definitely am 99% sure I know what album you're talking about that we're going to get to later. I like this pick. Peep was somebody I was pretty sure you're going to have on your list. He did not make my list, but he was another one like Logic. He was like thought about. And I think that, that matters too. I forget what episode we were talking about. We were like, oh, it was the Rolling Stone like rap album one, at least during consideration. And I think that's a thing here. Like, at least I thought about them. But yeah, Lil Peep. I mean, the thing is, this is an album I would have picked. I probably would have picked Hellboy. But this is the personal list. So that's
definitely. I mean, this one's always gonna have that special spot in my heart. My first vinyl as well. So
yeah, that's definitely special. But I'll get the next one here. I'll kind of stick. I'm kind of mirroring you here a little bit. I'll kind of go with something else a little bit, off rap. Definitely not rap here with Man Alive by King Cruel. I feel like I needed something that was like definitely not rap, definitely not R&B, more of that indie rock kind of sound. And that's Man Alive. I kind of think for the same reason it hits for me as your Lil Peep pick. I listened to it on release day. That was the first King Cruel project I had heard. And then I went back to his other projects. And I feel like people like his other ones more. But this one just hits a special spot for me just because it is the first one I heard. And I feel like I just go back to it a little bit more often. I do go back to songs on other projects more, but this is the album I go back to more. It's just a great project. Shout out to King Cruel.
Definitely. I mean, definitely not or a great project there. I mean, not much needs to be said about that one. Honestly, don't listen to it too much. But like I said, or like you were explaining a little bit earlier, if it's like on one of our lists, it's definitely valid. It's definitely stamped. So I mean,
facts.
Moving on though, my number 6 pick here. This is the shortest album I have. So this was like a tough one to make the list, but I do think it deserves that spot just for the songs it has on there. And I went with Doo-Wops and Hooligans by Bruno Mars, sitting right on my right shoulder here. I mean, this is right up there with Audio Slave as being my favorite non-rap album project. And I mean, can't go wrong with Bruno Mars, of course. So
That's a good pick. I mean, so many different styles on that project. You look at the Lazy song, you look at Talking to the Moon, The Other Side. There's some great songs on that project. Definitely one that I grew up on too. So I enjoy that pick.
definitely, I had to get Bruno on there, I think, and I did. It was between that and Unorthodox Jukebox, and ultimately I landed on Doo-Wop. So
that's the way I would have gone too. So I like that. The next one I'll go with here is Process by Sampha. Love this project. This is one that I just loved from the first time I heard it. Sampha is somebody that I loved every time I heard him on a song, but then I, never really got into his other music until Process. And then, man, this is just a great project. His voice is just special. And it's one of my favorite projects, that it's like border, like I don't consider it rap, but it's like adjacent, it's not rap at all, but it's
people
like,
consider it rap.
Yeah, like it's not even close to rap. But like we did the one question where somebody said, "What's your favorite non-rap album?" And I went with Casey Musgraves. Stand by that. She didn't make the list. She was on the honorable mentions. Like I would not consider this Sampha album rap. I didn't say it there, but that would probably be my favorite non-rap album of all time. It's up there for sure. Depending on what you consider, though, I mean, like there's some ones I to get into, and then like Trilogy by the Weekend, like that's definitely not rap. Some people might say it is.
Definitely
close enough. So whatever.
I mean, that's like kind of where Come Over Winter Silver, like, well, any Lil Peep project can get the rap stamp, but I really don't consider them rap, or a lot of them. A lot of the songs on there I wouldn't consider rap. Different kind of rap, maybe, but I don't know. It's less traditional, of course.
Facts. Yeah. Peep is definitely like closer, I think, than some of the people that I have, just like R&B. Like, I don't know. It's not rap, but that episode I want to pick something different. And so it's just hard to classify some of these. But yeah, there's a lot of discrepancy here. But let's get to your next pick.
Definitely. I mean, this one it's never been out of my rotation for the 4 years it's been out now. Had to get the boy on here, of course. Got to go with Astro World. I feel like a lot of Travis Scott projects are complete. You're gonna get a lot of different tracks on there, different vibes, hype vibes, chill vibes, whatever. And I think Astro World does that the best out of all the albums he has. So I mean, just so many bangers on there from top to bottom. Astro Thunder, songs like that. What do we Wake Up, of course, Sicko Mode, stuff like that. So I mean, it's just very complete. A lot of different songs on there, and they're all bangers. So
Definitely a good pick. I mean, you can't miss with that project. There's so many good songs. Like you said, Sicko Mode, obviously, No Bystanders, you got the hits, but then you got the deeper cuts. Stop Trying to Be God, Coffee Bean, like great songs.
Definitely, Freight Train Tough,
Shout out to Mauricio. Shout out the boys. Los Foos in the house. All right. I like that pick. Let's get into my next pick, though. I'm trying to decide which one I want to go with here. I'm going to go with Mad Villainy as my next pick. I think I had to have it. This is, one of the best produced albums of all time, one of the best rap albums of all time. I mean, it's just great. You see it if you watch on YouTube, you see it on Elijah's wall in the background. It hits. This is an album, I got into a little bit later than some of the other ones, but it's just great. I mean, you get all the different production type skits with all the samples, and then you just get bars from Doom. And I mean, that's just undefeated, honestly. I mean, great project.
Definitely. A great project there, of course. That was going to be like the one that I figured was going to be on yours. I figured you get a MF Doom project on there, and that was going to be my guess. But
100%. I had to have it. Like, Food crossed my mind, Operation Doomsday, but nothing's going to top Mad Villainy for me.
Definitely. Moving on, I believe we're on pick 8 here. This is a very, I classify, pretty much all their songs as unique. They can do a lot of different things. And I went with Saturation 2 by Brockhampton.
Ooh.
I mean, just kicking it off, Gummy, Queer, Jello, songs like that. I mean, then you get deep cutters, Tokyo, or not deep cuts, but Tokyo songs like that, Sunny, Summer. I mean, there's just like, it's so unique. It does a lot that a lot of these other projects cannot do because of how unique they are as a group.
I love that pick. That's my favorite Brockhampton project. And it didn't really even cross my mind, which is wild to say when I was talking about, Logic crossed my mind, but Brockhampton did not. That's crazy. I love that project. It's a great pick. Like you said, I mean, it's so diverse. Brockhampton, when you have that many members, you can do so many different things. Everybody brings something special to the table, especially when you're as talented as that group is. So love that pick.
Definitely.
I'll get on my next pick here, though. I'll go with Igor by Tyler, the Creator. I mean, I think anybody who listens knew Tyler would be on this list for me at some point. And rather than go with like Call Me If You Get Lost, which is, very, very rap focused, some of these other albums do that and do it better to an extent. So I had to go with Igor. This is such a unique project, such a great story, such great productions, such great vocals from Tyler. All the features on it kill it. Some of my favorite songs of all time on it. Had to have it. If I had to pick one, this was one of the easiest ones to pick. So yeah, it was easy. Great pick.
Definitely. So for my ninth pick here, this is my last non quote unquote rap. I mean, this one definitely isn't a rap one, but I feel like others, whatever, you classify them how you want to. Another rock album here. I went with One Cold Night by Seether. It's a live album, actually. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, or maybe very sparingly on the podcast.
I don't think
such a good album, especially live. Like the vocals in there and everything are just beautiful. Great guitar sound. You even get some crowd noise, which I love. I love like background noise in a song, especially like depending on what it is, though. But I mean, they do it perfectly with that one there, and not much else needs to be said about it.
I think, in my opinion, that's the most wild pick so far. Like, that's the most unexpected one. I did not expect that. I don't really know Seether. I know the name, probably know songs if I heard them, but definitely I've never heard that album. Definitely not the live one, at least. So that's wild. That's it's a unique pick to say the least.
Definitely. Had to get on there. Like I said, I wanted to make this my list pretty diverse. So I had different types of rap, different genres as well that I like. So
I feel that 100%. That, diversity to me was more about, I was thinking decades and stuff, like when I was going through the list, and I did not really do that. Like I said, with the Michael Jackson thing, like, am I going to go with that or not? But I was thinking, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Otis Redding, people like that. Are they going to make my list? They didn't. Spoiler alert.
I mean, yeah, they also didn't make my list. I wanted to go with things that I want to listen to. Like if we're switching up to like most influential or greatest albums ever, then it's a different story. But I don't find myself going back to those albums all that often. So,
well, the thing is, I do find myself going back to songs pretty often, but not a whole album, and so that's the difference maker for me. But I'll just move on to my next pick here, though. I feel like there's, one that we're going to have in common. So I'm going to save that one and we can do it at the same time. And so my next one is Blonde by Frank Ocean. This was one of the easiest ones for me. One of the best albums of all time. Had to have it. Nothing else needs to be said.
No, definitely not. That just a beautiful album. The anniversary just passed, actually. What, last week?
I think that's Channel Orange.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm not too big into Frank, but Blonde is obviously a classic.
Yeah, I just remember because Blonde dropped like in August, like I think the first weekend I was at school. So it's a notable date for it to drop.
Definitely. Moving on. Final pick here. I mean, if you know me, you had to have known this was coming. Got to go with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. One of probably the greatest album of our generation, and then one of my favorites as well. Does everything it needs to, 1 through 11, I think. I think they have like the song that's taken off there with Beyonce now at this point, but I mean, it's perfect.
That's my last pick too. I think that was I like when you kind of alluded to it, I knew that's where you're gonna go. You gotta have it. I mean, deciding what Kanye project I was going to pick was kind of hard. Like, I didn't want to go 808s just because, I think it is maybe the most unique in Kanye's discography, maybe that or Yeezus. But I kind of think some of these other albums do it, like Blonde and, Process kind of give me the same thing as 808s would give me. And, Yeezus, I just don't go to as much as some other projects that are on my list. So it was really down to Graduation or My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And ultimately I went with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
So Graduation was also my second Kanye pick on there. And then followed by 808s, albums like that. But I'm glad we were in sync on that one. I was curious to see how many we would have the same. I was thinking Take Care, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Which I feel like both of those give off like the same vibe, like they're rap, of course, and then different types of tracks on there, of course, and then obviously widely regarded as some of the best albums of our generation. So
facts. Yeah, I was Drake didn't make my list, but let's get into that real quick. I just want to go through some honorable mentions because this list is longer than the albums that I was actually able to select, and this is where the diversity really is hitting. Like, there's so many projects here that just hit a little bit different. It's Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves. It's Clairo's album Immunity. Drunk by Thundercat. Don't Forget Me Demos by Dominic Fike. Negro Swan by Blood Orange. Random Access Memories by Daft Punk. Currents by Tame Impala. Stevie Wonder. Marvin Gaye. Artists like that. And then we had Danny Brown's Atrocity Exhibition. Take Care. Die For My Bitch by Baby Keem. Acid Rap. I won an album from Steve Lacy. Didn't get that. 1999 by Joey Badass. And Summertime 06 by Vince Staples. Oh, and I gotta say Earl blew my mind. I forgot Earl. So that's one. 5 minutes from now, my list might be different now that I've realized I don't have Earl Sweatshirt on here. Although that's another one where, do some of these albums kind of give the same thing? Like if I pick Doris or if I pick some rap songs, does Mad Villainy kind of give me that same thing? So that's a debate that I had in my head, and that's the list I went with.
Definitely. I mean, I like both of our lists. I feel like they're diverse. They give you a lot of different feelings and everything. Maybe we can get a playlist out of our 20 albums that we would listen to if we only could listen to 20 albums for the rest of our lives. So
of course, I think we'll have that playlist out on Monday, and then you know what? I think we're gonna have like a 2022 releases playlist coming out soon too. Our boy Mitchell asked for that playlist because he's a little bit behind on the releases outside of what we're talking about. But then how is he going to listen to it? We just talk about it. You can't just listen to the song. So we're gonna make a playlist soon. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure to tap it on Instagram and follow us so you don't miss out.
Definitely. Moving on though, I mean, pretty solid week of releases. I honestly have not given the albums too much of a listen. Been very busy, but let's get into some of the projects that released this week. We have Steve Lacy, DJ Premier with Lil Wayne, Run the Jewels, Joey Badass, and more on there. A Kid Named Cudi, Rowdy Rebel, and Lizzo. What have your thoughts been so far?
I love this Steve Lacy project so much. I mean, he is just great. I think this is now I'm going to be talking about in December. I said it. If you have not given this album a listen, you got to listen to it. I mean, there's so many good songs on it. Steve is just, one of the greatest out, one of the most underrated out. So been waiting for a project from him for a little bit since his last one. So, he definitely delivered.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that, but I gotta admit, he's not my cup of tea. So
wow.
He kind of falls under that like Frank Ocean, Tyler the Creator. Not, I wouldn't say they're too similar, of course, maybe compared to Frank a little bit, but where it's just something they've just never done it for me. I don't know why. I've given it tries and tries, and I mean, I've gotten a little more into Tyler, whereas Frank's he's still on the outskirts, waiting for my music taste to mature so I can enjoy the projects a little bit more.
That is crazy. Like, that's crazy. Like they just have always done it for me. Like, Steve is special. Steve, an underrated producer, and then especially an underrated artist by himself. One of the best. I did see a tweet that said, this album is the equivalent of when guys say let's start a podcast or something like that, or like not everybody should have a voice, basically is what I was saying. And that was disrespectful. Like, this album is great. But
Definitely.
I did take a little offense because, you know, we're like, let's just start a podcast, guys. But hey, whatever.
Yeah, no, I always love those memes. I always send you those when I see them. I mean, it's always funny, but you know, I think there's a difference between let's start a podcast just talking, or you know, I feel like we have like a solid theme. We get it done.
We always do. We always have like a topic. Like, I saw some, you know, not to throw shade, I'm not gonna say any names or anything, but I saw some podcasting. It was like, you know, just two college guys, and they're like, oh, we're talking about dating advice this week. And I'm like, what do you really know? You know what I mean? Like, why should I listen to you? And I mean, I guess the same thing could be said about, oh, why should I listen to what you say about music? But this is just an opinion. That's like different to an extent.
Definitely. I like I said, I haven't given much of the projects to listen this week. You know, busy weekend. Supposed to go to Holiday World, ended up just swimming and everything, but still wasn't able to listen to much today. Last night went to the bars after working all day, so I need to. I'll get my stuff together. I'm off all day tomorrow, and it's supposed to be like a rainy day, so I feel like that's like the perfect time to listen to some new music.
Definitely. That I'm supposed to go golfing tomorrow, so I'm hoping it does not rain very much. Been on a big golf spree since I played last weekend, so trying to get into it though. But yeah, also you got to listen to this DJ Premier project. It's crazy. Lil Wayne, crazy verse, and then Run the Jewels. I loved the Run the Jewels song. That was fire, and Joey does his thing most of the time, so it was great all around. It was very short, 5 songs, I think.
Definitely. I mean, that'll be an easy one to listen to with it only being 5 songs. I'll let you get into the singles though for this week.
Yeah, so this week we had singles from Joey Badass, Lotto, Bobby Shmurda, Max O'Cream, Casey Veggies, Calvin Harris featuring Justin Timberlake, Halsey, and Pharrell, and then Guapdad 4000. You know, pretty solid week. You know, not necessarily some of the biggest names, but some great artists here nonetheless.
Yeah, like these were, I was only able to give two songs a listen from the new ones this week. I went with the Calvin Harris track, of course. Thought it did their thing. They all did their thing on that, which, you know, I have very high expectations. I think they're going to do their thing on a lot of these tracks. And then also the Joey Badass single as well. You know, I think he's attempting to be the first person in rap to release a new song every week till the whole album's out. But he delivers every time. You know, it'd be different if he wasn't delivering, but
yeah, that is definitely kind of tough. The track list just got released actually, and I don't know if this is an official release or how, but it's, you know, it's out. It shows it's gonna be 14 songs, and some of these songs are obviously already out, with Head High, Survivor's Guilt, Zip Codes, Where I Belong. So yeah, I mean, they're definitely a significant amount of the track list has already been released, but still very excited for this project, excited for the songs we haven't got yet. I thought it was interesting that Joey or The Revenge is not on this track list.
yeah, I saw that and I was also a little confused. But I mean, I'm interested. Tracks we haven't heard already. I'm okay to, you know, to get on there because he's delivered so many good singles so far. So
Yeah, I do think it's interesting though. Like we said, it's not on there. And I think that's the only one that had like even mixed to negative reaction to. Like, he performed it at Rolling Loud. I was watching the live stream and it sounded really good over the live stream, but then the release, I was like, oh, it's good, but it's not it. I was fired up. Like when I heard the first time, this is hard, just because it had been so long since we heard a new song from Joey. I was ready for it. And then I heard it, I was like, oh, it's good, but it like didn't blow me away. And then some of those songs, like Survivor's Guilt, especially, like have blown me away. So hopefully the rest of the project delivers.
definitely, I'm expecting that. You know, I think we've gotten fucking damn near a third of the album already. So I think it's delivered so far.
Facts. I mean, one thing I want to talk about though, you know, going back a little bit, you know, you said you can't really get in to Steve Lacy. You know who can? Somebody we both had on our 10 albums, Kanye West. Kanye commented on a post and said, album is beautiful, one of the most inspiring people on the planet, referring to Steve Lacy and this project. That was crazy. I mean, I didn't know Kanye was hip to Steve Lacy like that.
Yeah, I mean, once you get that Kanye stamp, especially, anything is possible, and this is all amongst his social media silence that he's taken. So
Facts. I shouldn't be surprised, I guess, at the same time though, because I mean, Steve has produced for J. Cole, Kendrick, people like that. So it shouldn't really be surprising that Kanye is like tapped into his music, but I was still very surprised. But like you said, yeah, Kanye, he's on that social media silence, little hiatus basically. Did you see the
get,
thing he commented about the hose settings?
I have not. No, I haven't been on. Was it this weekend or?
I think it was last weekend. There was like a post on Instagram and it was talking about the different, it's like fuck a zodiac sign. What's your favorite type of hose setting? Like jets, streams, whatever. Kanye commented and said what his favorite setting was. So I saw it on Twitter and I did not believe that it was real. I was like, oh, it's photoshopped. Then I went and found the post. I was like, okay, Kanye really took time out of his day to comment.
Definitely. We'll get into Rolling Loud a little bit later, so I'll talk about that later in the episode in the news here. So moving on though, Frank Ocean's Blonded Radio had a new episode last Sunday, and he also changed his Spotify banner. What does this tell you in terms of new Frank Ocean music, or do you think it's just they just went with the, what was it, 10-year? Well, I'm not sure honestly what the anniversary was on it. It's not 10 years, but
no, it was 10 of Channel Orange. Yeah, it came out in 2012 or 2011. I think 2012. I think 2012. I think it means Frank's on the way. Like all the signs are pointing towards Frank Ocean is going to drop soon. Coachella next year, changing all the stuff on social media, being a little more active. I think this means we're near Frank Ocean sometime soon. I'm hoping by the end of the year.
You did. I mean, that was your prediction early next year into this year. So it'll be interesting to see how the situation plays out. Of course, I feel like he's one of those artists that could drop whenever. He could drop right now if he fucking wanted. And I mean, it'd still be a great project, obviously. So it's going to be interesting to see follow the situation, of course.
I kind of wanted that to be what happened last weekend. I kind of just wanted him to just drop an album on a Sunday night. Like that would have been crazy. That would have broke the internet.
Definitely. I don't know. I don't know when I would place a prediction for him to drop. I'll say December though.
Okay, I like that prediction. I'm gonna go with my realistic prediction is January of next year, but my hopeful prediction is November of this year.
Gotcha. Well, like I said, this will be interesting to see how it plays out because he is one of the bigger artists in the game, and he doesn't have like these huge album rollouts or anything. So
yeah, he doesn't need any of that. He's just a star and the most low-key star at that. So who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? But I need it as soon as I can get it.
definitely. Moving on though, the Toxic King, Brent Faiyaz, sells 94,000 first week. Should debut at number 2, falling to Bad Bunny, who sold 105K. What were your thoughts on this?
I did not know that Bad Bunny dropped. I don't really, keep up with his music like that. So I'm on like the thing where you can subscribe to different artists and, creators text thing where they like can just send out a mass text. I'm on the Brent Faiyaz one. He's like texting out like, let's go to number 1, like listening party the next 2 days. We're going to blow it up, whatever. So I was like, oh, cool. Brent's, he's really pushing for number 1. Like, I think he's going to get it. Like, who else dropped? Then I saw Bad Bunny, and that's somebody, that has global influence, global fans. So I was like, damn, it's going to be kind of tough for an independent artist like Brent to get that number 1 spot. That will be tough. But yeah, I mean, number 2 for like, so early in his career is still a great accomplishment.
Yeah. And along with being an independent artist completely, no label backing him as well. So
yeah. And he's putting up huge numbers. Like we're talking about something about other artists like earlier in the year. I mean, 94,000 is crazy.
Huge numbers.
Crazy. But I mean, I got to give it to that team. I mean, they're just killing it. I was watching a video on YouTube a couple years ago, and it was, right around the time I started getting into Brent, and it was talking about how he uses like Spotify streaming stats a lot, and like that's how they were able to plan like where he has fans and where he can go on tours and all this kind of stuff. So I love all the things they do because especially independent, that's especially.
Definitely. And I feel like that's ahead of its time. Very unique there that they use the actual Spotify stats to determine things like that.
Facts. I mean, I'm sure like big labels have even more accurate and even more like mind-blowing stats and analytics and algorithms to track things like that. But being independent and figuring it out, that's commendable right there.
Definitely.
But let's get in the next piece of news. Drake announced that his October World Weekend is going to be scheduled this year from July 28th to August 1st in Toronto. On the 28th, you're going to get all Canadian North Stars, which I don't know what that is. Then you're going to get the next day Chris Brown and Lil Baby. Then the big one, Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj, Young Money reunion. This is crazy. That would be something to see. If we were in Toronto, I mean, we'd have to be there, but I don't have a passport, so unlikely. Unlikely to see a smile on eyes.
There is 2 holdups for me why I'm not going. Obviously the passport, I don't have one, and also the Rolling Loud's going to be finishing up like 4 days before it, so I mean it's just would not be the best decision financially, and then for my body as well. It's a lot of travel, a lot of jumping around in the pits and everything, but the Young Money reunion would be worth it alone. So I'm very excited to see, what they bring out, what their track lists are and everything. But yeah, I'm glad that they're bringing the OVO Fest worldwide next year for the 10-year anniversary, because I'm gonna have to go to OVO Fest in Toronto at some point. So got to start plotting for that. Passports, that's a pretty long process. So
yeah,
who knows? Who knows? I could start that process here pretty soon.
Yeah, I would love to go one time. I think it'd be dope to go to Canada. Obviously, don't have a passport, like I said, so we'd have to figure that out. One little gripe with this lineup, like it's not like a deep lineup. You know what I mean? Like there's only a couple people,
but it's like so top heavy. Like you're at the peak there.
That's facts. But like some festivals, you get like 6 people you like. So I know it's tough. Like I don't love Chris Brown. So it's like, I don't know, like
it's kind of like
the just don't hit the same.
It's kind of like the Kanye, like the Larry Hoover benefit concert like that they did. Like that is just like, that's like once in a lifetime stuff. And although, it's not a ton of people, it's fucking Drake and Kanye. In terms of this, it's Drake, Lil Wayne, Nicki coming back together. Throw in Baby and Chris Brown as well.
No, I definitely think it's, great. But then like, if you could just buy Sunday, like if you buy a 1-day pass, I'd be there in a heartbeat. But like, if you're gonna pay a 3-day pass and like, I'm gonna see the Canadian North Stars, don't know what that means.
Definitely. They always kill it with OVO Fest though. So if they do a live stream, I'll watch it, or I'll have to watch videos, of course, after the fact. So
facts. And there's always possibility of special guests, especially with somebody like Drake. So he can call anybody and get them to come. So really endless opportunity. Like I love the classic clip of Kanye in 2016. He comes out to Pop Style, and it's just one of my favorite special guest appearances of all time.
Like one of my favorite music moments ever is it was during the Meek beef for Drake, and they just have it's just back to back, and they have the memes in the background from OVO Fest. I would have killed to be there for that. So
that would be fire. Well, hopefully, we do talk about going to OVO Fest in Toronto, but if they do take it worldwide, come to Chicago or something.
Chi-town.
I want to be there.
That's one of the biggest cities in the US. So
they'd have to. I feel like, the no-brainers are like Miami, New York City, Chicago, and LA. And then I think other than that, probably like Houston. And then other than that, we'll see. But I think those 5 are like locks. I feel like it'd have to be a Soldier Field event though, or maybe United Center. But I've never been to Soldier Field at all, so I think it'd be, I think Drake could do it, especially if it's in summer, obviously.
Definitely. It'll be exciting to see how that plays out. Speaking of Houston, though, some Houston artist is apparently going to be in Miami this weekend, doing like a club event, I guess. Obviously pretty significant next weekend in Miami. I think there's like a festival or something down there. Do you want to?
Yeah,
let the viewers?
I don't know who this Houston rapper could be. it would be Travis Scott, guys, if you haven't caught on by now. La Flame nightclub appearance. You can buy tickets. Him in Miami, Rolling Loud weekend. All signs are pointing to Trav. He'll be at Rolling Loud. Is he going to come out as a surprise guest? We'll see.
My guess is going to be with Kanye West night one. I've already predetermined I'm going to be camping night one for Kanye the whole day. Going to get as close as I can. And, obviously the Travis Scott and Kanye West relationship is great. And then Travis Scott and Rolling Loud have also had ties for years now. So, I mean, we'll see what happens.
I respect the camp out so much because that's the type I am. I want to go. I want to be as close as I can for most people. So I feel like hoping that you are like on the barricade.
I mean, yeah, I'm a little rat in there. And I tend to get very close, and especially if I'm camping out, I'm not going to give up my spot. So we'll see what happens. We'll see where I get for a lot of these artists. I feel like if he comes out with someone, out of the 3 headliners, he's got to come out with a headliner. So he'll have Kanye, which is, I think, the most obvious pick, of course. Kendrick doesn't make a lot of sense there with that one. And then they'll also have Future as well. So interesting to see.
He has connections to all of them. Like, you got Goosebumps and stuff with Kendrick. He's got, a new song, Hold That Heat, with Future. So yeah, I could see that one. But Kanye is the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think that for Kendrick, I think it's really out of the question because they're doing Keem and Kendrick on the same stage. So I'm assuming we're going to joint performance there. I hope so, at least. I've been jealous of all these videos of them performing together. So hopefully I can get it. Very excited though for the upcoming week.
Going to be special for sure. So hopefully you get some, don't want to, make it your focus, but hopefully get some content for the Second Avenue podcast, of course.
Definitely. I mean, that's a must at a music festival.
It's a business trip.
Yeah, of course.
Let's get into the last piece of news here. The cover for Eminem's Curtain Call 2 has been released. What are your thoughts on this cover?
I'm going to insert the Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help. Eminem called it career. Let's wrap it up here. I feel like I love the first Curtain Call. And then, I mean, the Eminem show honestly was that was an honorable mention to make it, but I don't have very high expectations. How about you?
It's tough. I mean, that is one of the worst covers I've ever seen. I mean, it kind of is supposed to give like pinball style. And then on one of the numbers, it's like the middle school joke with the calculator with boobies. And I mean, it's like Eminem, you're like pushing 40. Like, what are you
pushing
really
50?
Doing? Pushing 50. Yeah, I don't know how old he is. He's whatever. Too damn old to be making booby jokes on his album cover.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that he brought, whatever. If he wants to make fucking 1 million revivals or, shit like that, but don't bring in the classics, man. Don't ruin the legacy.
No, it's tough. It's like if Lil Wayne put out, another Carter and it sucked, that'd be tough.
I think there's a very big difference though, because I mean, Lil Wayne fucking killed it with the Carter 5. Maybe we're gonna get this late career research.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, Lil Wayne has never missed on a Carter, but if he put out like a shitter, that'd be tough. Eminem, he's starting to go a little bit down, and it's only getting worse. So I mean, Curtain Call 1 was, good. So kind of.
We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens, of course, because we have no expectations for this album.
We'll get into it, but the cover sucks, and that's what we know right now. And I mean, that was pretty brief, but if you enjoyed what we had to say about that album cover, come back next week, because we're going to be doing our album artwork tier list. We're going to, pick, 25, 30 different album covers and put them on a tier list. See which one's the best, see which ones, we're not really messing with. You're not going to want to miss it.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a pre-recorded episode, so I'm pretty excited. I think we're gonna do 15 albums a piece that we go with covers. We're gonna try and keep it diverse, try and go with some unique ones, try and go with some classics as well. So I'm very excited to get into that.
All right, to close today's episode out, we got a question. A couple like last weekend, I was with some friends, and one of them, my boy AJ, had a question for the Second Avenue boys. He said, "What would your baseball walk-up song be?"
I feel like the city matters a lot. I was explaining that to you then, even that night, but I feel like my definitive pick has been "Touch the Sky" by Kanye West. What would your pick be? You never got back to me with your pick, so
Yeah. I was a little busy that night. I was doing my thing, but I do have a little experience with this. I told this story before, I think, in the podcast. When I was in college, I played intramural wiffle ball and then intramural slow pitch softball, and we had a Bluetooth speaker and we did walk-up songs. And me, if you can't tell from this podcast, I could not make up my mind with one song. We talked about that at the start of this episode, even with these albums. It changed 5 minutes from now. That's how I was with these walk-up songs. I just had a bunch of them. I had No Problem by Chance. I had Yonkers by Tyler, the Creator. And then I had the one that I think I would go with if I had to pick one. It would be Can't Tell Me Nothing by Kanye West. So both got yay here. There are a couple other ones, though, that, like, given the right week, they would hit. Like last week, Go Go Gadget Flow by Lupe Fiasco was like in consideration because I love that song. Just heard it live. And I really would have thought about it. If I was a baseball player, I'd be like, that's the one for this week at least. And then we'd be back to Can't Tell Me Nothing. But there's, so many great songs you could pick here. There's so many different ones. Like you said, city really does matter. If I was playing in Miami, might pick a little bit, something that might pick, like a Denzel Curry song, playing at LA, probably a West Coast song. But, being an Illinois guy, I would think of the Cubs, the White Sox, I'd go with Can't Tell Me Nothing. But I think that's also a song you could really go with anywhere.
Definitely. Another here. I mean, you said the White Sox. For the Cubs, it'd be Touch the Sky. For the White Sox, obviously being South Side, I got to go with the Pure Souls, the South Side and the outside part. So,
I like that pick. That's a good one. That would hit.
Definitely. But I think that about wraps it up for this week. Thank you guys for listening as always. Tune in next week for the album tier list.
We'll see you guys next week.